London police are not commenting on a Globe and Mail report that 5 former World Junior hockey players have been told to surrender themselves to face sex assault charges. The players have not been identified yet. Julie McFarlane, professor of law at the University of Windsor and founder of the group Can't Buy My Silence, which campaigns against the misuser of non-disclosure agreements, is our guest this morning. Welcome.
Good morning.
Julie, my first question is, we know the charges, but what might be the reason that we don't know the names of the players?
Well, the most common reason that the players or the individuals aren't named when they're being charged is in order to protect the identity of the victim. So the police have obviously heard from the victim that it's very important to her to continue to protect her identity. And if you remember, Anne-Marie, this has been a theme throughout. I think she's already had a very hard time trying to maintain her own privacy, having stepped forward. And so that's likely the reason that they're not being named, because naming them might implicitly identify her.
And what is the reason behind asking them to surrender and not going forward with an arrest?
Well, you know, that's an interesting one, and I think that's much more a discretionary matter. I think that they probably view that as being more heavy-handed, and obviously an arrest could also be filmed, and therefore they could be identified. But I'm speculating here, Anne-Marie, we don't really know.
Is it possible, Julie, that we'll never know the names of those who have yet to be charged?
Well, it is also possible, similarly, that a victim or any other justice system participant, like a witness, for example, could ask for the identities to be concealed throughout the trial. It's unusual, let me stress, for that to happen, because we usually have the principle of open court in Canada and transparency. But if it was If an application was made in writing by the victim or a witness saying that they were afraid for their identities to be revealed and therefore they needed the identities of the players to be concealed, then it is possible that we wouldn't know. But to be totally honest with you, we're already seeing, speculation and these names possibly leaking out already. And, my heart goes out to this young woman who's doing what she can to conceal her own identity. But in a way, this is going to just make it worse, because now more and more attention is being focused on who are these players.
The story entered the public spotlight in May 2022. This is when TSN reported the allegations outlined in a lawsuit that was filed by a woman, and we only know her identity, as you've pointed out, as EM. So named in the lawsuit were 8 players from that 2018 World Junior team, along with Hockey Canada and the Canadian Hockey League. Could there be any criminal repercussions, Julie, for either Hockey Canada or the CHL?
Well, at the moment, this is a case that the state is bringing against the 5 people who are accused and will be charged as individuals. What could happen is EM might decide to go back to the civil process because she originally, if you remember, Anne-Marie, she signed a non-disclosure agreement, which meant that she couldn't continue with any civil action against Hockey Canada, but they have now released her from that. So she could bring a civil claim against any number of third parties, including Hockey Canada or even individuals within Hockey Canada. I imagine that by the end of the criminal trial, she will be absolutely exhausted, but those are possibilities that are open to her.
Julie, just before we let you go, what are you watching closely for in this case?
Well, I think that what's really striking me is that this is a really good example of the chaos sown by NDAs. I mean, originally, Hockey Canada, and I think this is important for people to understand, basically persuaded the police, and this is not unusual, I'm afraid this is quite typical for a big organization, to sort of wait on the criminal charges until they had gone back and done some more internal work and investigation, and they did manage to resolve the matter then with EM. Now, I think that the public should be concerned about how often these cases get taken back from the police. But what's happened here is that there's been so much public backlash about the fact that no one was ever charged, and so much reaction to the revelation that she was silenced in an NDA, that it's actually made it worse for Hockey Canada than doing something to come clean and, for example, supporting the reporting to the police right at the very beginning in 2018. So I think it's a very good cautionary story for how you can make what seems to be a very bad reputational issue even worse by superseding police investigations and using non-disclosure agreements, which unfortunately happens quite a lot.
And to our knowledge, as of yet, no one has surrendered themselves to police as of yet. Is that correct?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
All right, Julie McFarland, we will continue to be watching, as will you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked this, be sure to subscribe here, or you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.